as you're just thinking, where am I? Or where in my heart do I have belief, I have doubt, and I have unbelief? Or am I fully in unbelief? Or am I fully in doubt? Or am I in between belief and doubt? And those were the questions that we had last season, last episode, last Sunday. There's the right word. So we're in John 11 and just kind of backtracking a little bit in verse 40. Jesus had a debate with the leaders of the law, and they tried to seize him, but he escaped their grasp. I think many of us have that experience. The enemy tries to seize us, and we escape that grasp. And maybe you're here today because of it. And he came. He wasn't running away. He just changed locations. He came to the Jordan, to the place where John, his cousin, had been baptizing in the early days. He stayed there. Many people came to him and said, though John never performed a sign, all that John said about this man was true. And in that place, many believed in Jesus. And so just ask yourself, what parts of my heart are believing and what parts aren't believing? And you can have what I would call modern day today agnosticism. You leave God out of parts of your heart, out of parts of your life, out of parts of your vocabulary, out of parts of your scrolling or whatever it is. You leave God out of certain parts. And either God is everything or he's nothing. It's a concept that we're really diving into, and unbelief is this hardness of heart. So where I have unbelief, I start to have a hard heart. And we talked about Pharaoh. Remember Pharaoh? And we had the 10 plagues, and it was like, okay, I believe, okay, I'm going to let these people go. But he never believed. He was an unbeliever who had a hard heart and then tried to kill the children of God. And so we talked about doubt. Doubt is okay. We're going to talk about the doubter again, little Thomas. And maybe a lot of you, I could relate to Thomas of really not being certain all the time. And I think that's a good place to live. Not knowing all the answers, not even having any of the questions, but just going along in blind faith going, I wonder if I'm going the right way. That's a good place to be. Belief, unbelief, or doubt. And then as we wrap up, we're going to ask you what God spoke to you. So just be mindful of that. How is God speaking to you personally? What's he saying about him? What's he saying about us? What's he saying about church? How do you pass this message on? Is that something you could share? So we'll get into a time of sharing after. Belief, unbelief, or doubt. Father, we come before you as your children. Would you smash our unbelief? Would you just take us out of delusions, justifications, and excuses as unbelief deals and is rooted in fear? Father, would you just melt hard hearts in different places that we have unbelief? And Father, would you just come to our doubts, reassure us, encourage us, breathe life into us, and continue us in our belief to grow in our faith in Jesus' name. Amen. Death has been an interesting event of sorts in my life. I didn't really deal with that too much in my addiction. I got sober when I was 32, so coming into 20 years this year, and I didn't really deal with a lot of death. Like I didn't know a lot of dead people. An uncle passed away, and that's hard. But I didn't really deal with death. But since I got sober, I've dealt with death more than, just some of the things I get to do in my life. I get to do marriages, right, Evan? Yeah, and then I get to do funerals. And I know this is horrible. I probably shouldn't say it, but I enjoy funerals a lot more. No offense to you guys. It's just stressful. It's a whole day. Death. No, it was a blessing to be there. It was, even though we screwed up the date on I know, but there's something about death that brings people together with a different heart. It's just, it's not necessarily celebratory, but it's like, there's a heaviness. People are asking questions. And I've met people with a guy that passed away, and he remembered it, and I didn't even know he was there. I've got to pray for 3 men on life support. Has anybody seen anybody on life support? Yeah, it's different. It's there's no there's some, the body's there, but no one's home. And I got to pray for them, and I just, if you're on life support, you probably don't want me. Nothing happened. I didn't raise anybody from the dead, but I came into a guy on life support, and one of my friends, that's a woman, Sandy, she was praying for this guy, and I came in, and I'm like, I want her to pray for me if I'm on life support. If I got any problems, like that woman was going hard to the hole. Like she was talking about resurrection. She was like trying to rate, and I was like, whew. That was incredible. Like I was like, that was fascinating. I was so encouraged, and I was watching. I've seen a bird heal. I've seen people get healed, not dead, but a dead bird came back to life in my healing journey, and nothing happened. And as I was just contemplating, I just saw the picture of 3 crosses and the tension of Jesus and the thieves, and one of the thieves was like, if you're really God, take us off these crosses. Like we got a free pass. Like, come on. And the other one was like, hey man, shut your mouth. Like this is the king of this is Jesus. He put his, and what did Jesus say to him? Today you'll be with me in paradise. And that's what I heard. I didn't want to interrupt this lady that's trying to I didn't want to get in the way. I just was like, that's how God said it to me. And I just got to sit with this man after she had stopped praying for him, and I just held his hand, and I just shared the gospel with him. I talked about the thief on the cross, and I just asked him if he would like to accept Jesus. And he knows Jesus. He was in the treatment center that I was involved in. And he knew the message, but he had wandered away. And I held his hand. And I don't know if this is a response, but he started to have a tear roll down his eye. And I was just like, the chills of that. I was like, okay, I understand the body voluntarily movements and twitches, but man, did he receive Jesus right in that? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. But if a thief on a cross can respond in his final minutes or hours, and this man right after that, they're Catholic, so they had the priest come. So it was me, the priest, the bed up here, the parents, and the brother, and my wife, and another person. And so the priest, like that was new to me. The priest was given the last rites. So the priest was leaning over. I knew what was going on. No one else did, because I had an insider view. So I saw the priest's bag, and the bag was hitting the bed, and the bed was coming down, and it looked very scary to the people that were his parents. Oh no, the priest is sending him to hell. The brother's like, Jesus, take the wheel. And it was very stressful. And I can't laugh at this point because it's a very stressful situation. And the bed keeps going down. And I was like, then it started tilting, and the priest didn't even lose a breath. And I thought he was going to skid right out. And I was like, this is the most intense death situation. Like, see, stuff like that doesn't happen at marriages, weddings. Like, but there's this intensity. And like after that, we're all sweating, and we're like, you guys want to unpack that? And you get to meet with the family, and you get to pray with them. And it was just, there was so much to that. In COVID, there's 17 men and women that I worked with personally, that I met with one-on-one, that maybe they were in Life Lab, maybe they were in the treatment center, whatever it was. 17 men and women lost their lives in, 3 years? About 3 years. All of them due to overdoses and 2 suicides. That's a lot of death. Like, I've never experienced anything like that. I remember going to one. He was being paced by one of our buddies, and you know, if you've been to Life Lab, you're doing the morning devotionals, and you're writing a psalm, a proverb, and a free read, and you know, you every day with Jesus, a little breakfast with Jesus, and it's just part of discipline. So he was doing that, and he was a month into this, and he lost his life from an overdose, and so there was a video, a funeral. And so we were watching, we tuned in. And so the family was weeping and crying, and grandma got up and she just said, I want to read the journal, but it was the devotionals. And I was like, oh my God. We just started crying because we knew what it was, but the family just thought that was his journaling. And we're like, he was actually discipling. Like he was actually listening and sitting with Jesus every morning. And it's like, what happened? This is a tricky place. Death is hard, but there's so much to it, so much to unpack. We got stages of grief. Does anybody know the stages of grief? Does anybody take a class of grief? What's the first one? Denial. And then what? Yeah, the anger part. It's like, what? How? What? Like, then what is it? Bargaining. Man, then what? The depression. And then that acceptance. And that whole process could last up to a year, I found out. So imagine coming out of COVID with 17 deaths or whatever you experienced and trying to deal with that. And there's no funerals. I found out funerals are for a very specific reason, for us to actually mourn. But there was none of that in COVID. And then we had our Hope Out Loud, Grief Out Loud in October of the last year of COVID. And we probably had 80 people. We were over capacity. No one was wearing masks. But we had people represented. One of the guys died in the rehab center. His mom shared. One of the girls committed suicide. Her best friend came, started unpacking her stuff. By the first, I walked out of there. My face was like, my eyeballs were red. If anybody remembers Neil, he comes to me. He's like, "How did you organize? Like, I'm like, I don't even know what happened right there." But there's something in my heart that got to unpack all that grief. And I felt like my eyeballs were red. Couldn't really understand what had happened in my heart, but that was God just dealing with brokenness, dealing with like this tragedy of what we experience. It's death on earth. I already gave you the answer. How many people did Jesus raise from the dead? Could it be 3? Yeah. So this is a great story. So does anybody know who they are? Number 1? Okay, yeah, that's the story we're in. Jairus' daughter, she had just died in Mark 5. And the son of the widow of Nain, he had just died as well in Luke 7. And then we got Lazarus. How many days was Lazarus dead for? 3? Can we get 4? Yeah, 4 days. 4 days, things start to happen. I looked it up. You can look it up. I'm not going to get into the descriptions, but 4 days, there's no coming back. They're like the brain, the mush, the decomposition, all that stuff. Like I said, I won't get into it. So we're in between December and April right now. We had the feast of dedication. That was the Jews rededicating the temple back to God. There was a defilement. Many of us go through that. We are the temple of God. That's the good news. We get the holiness of God within us, the light of God. So he had just left that. And then we're going to go into the feast of the Passover, which is in April. So we're in that time zone. And so we're in chapter 11 of the Gospel of John. How many chapters are in? No, you can't answer. You already know. How many chapters are in John? She was here yesterday. How many? 21. So we're at the halfway mark. How long do we have for the last 11 chapters? 1 week. We have 1 week left. Yeah, 11. We have 1 week left in Jesus' life. Half the gospel was kind of like drawing us into the narrative of who he is. Who is he? He's the light of the world. He's the bread of life. He's everlasting water. Now he's the resurrection, the light, all these things. And we're going to get to the gospel in the last week. This is his last week. All right. Okay. I just looked at the time. Death is something that we need to talk about. Death is something that many of us experience. So I think that's important. So here we have now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lays sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. The word there, love, is phileo, like your brothers. We're brotherly love. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. The one you love is sick. Sending out the text message. I don't know how they did it. Somebody ran. It's a great appeal. There's no manipulation, and not the one that loves you. You know, it's an interesting way she said, the one you love, Lord. The ones that Jesus loves, this is interesting because we acknowledge that Jesus loves Lazarus. That's what she said. The one that Jesus loves gets sick and bad things happen, and even death will happen. In Matthew 5:45, for he makes the sun rise on evil and the good and sends rain on the just and unjust. It's interesting that those that Jesus loves will go through trials, suffering, and hardship. And we've talked about this in the past sermons, and they're for great purpose. We're not spoiled, rotten little children with entitlement. We actually are parented, and a lot of this parenting happens through trials, tribulations, and hardships. Can you have joy in that? For sure. Do you have? That's why we need the church. That's why we need each other to go through these things, to continue to cheer us on. There's many of you that there's no solution. You come and talk to me and I'm like, I don't know. Like, can I just pray for you? Like, and I just say just. And it's like, that's all I have is to pray for you. I might give you some tidbits of interesting wisdom in the Bible, but it's not going to fix your problem necessarily. I might intervene in people's issues and problems. I might give you a tip, like, get off your phone too much. That's all I say, right? It's like, don't do that. That doesn't help though. It doesn't really help. But the trials and tribulations, if we can just stand with another brother or sister and just cheer you on. Do you need anything? What can I be praying for you? I'm here as a cheerleader. We need cheerleaders. We don't need, advice given fixers. Like, one of them is good and that's it. More than enough. It's not me. Jesus will fix all of your problems. So the most famous story about these girls, Martha and Mary, with Jesus. Martha is the complaining workhorse. Do you remember the story? You got Martha and Mary and Jesus, and there's a meal, there's a dinner. If Jesus was coming home, if Jesus was coming to my house, what do you think the first thing I would be doing? Yeah, you see my house? Vicky would be, John, clean the front toilet. If you're coming over to my house, that front toilet, usually Jordan and I have cleaned it. We're not good at it. We just scrub it like that and hope we do our best. That's the first thing I would be doing, is cleaning the house and going like, what food do we have? Should I go to Farm Boy to get like steaks? Like, what does Jesus like? Would it be like what's the Jesus bread that I've just found this out? Encorn? Should we get some encorn bread? Like, this would be really good. He loves that kind of stuff. It's an ancient grain. I just had it for the first time. It's dense. It gets the job done for sure. But I would want something for Jesus to come and be like, oh, good job. Wow. And so that was Martha, busy, the workhorse. And then what was, as Jesus comes over, what was Mary doing? Just sitting at his feet, like what, watching TV? Like, what were they doing? Just like telling stories. Like, I'm like that around here. I'm a Martha. And then when I see some of the dudes talking, I'm like, hey guys, we got cleanup to do. Like, there's coffee cups. Like, do I have to do everything? Like, there's some bathroom. I know that's my default. I'm sorry. Just being honest. But that's where I default. Like, okay, guys, like let's wrap it up. Even on Thursday night at an upper room recovery meeting, Clyde, the elder, had his Bible out, and whenever he turns the Bible, you're like, oh, we're going to be here a long time. And you got the 5 guys, and they're like this. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, guys, we got to work. But what does Jesus say? Mary is, I'm a little like Martha. And Jesus says, Martha says, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work? Self-pity, insecurity. It's not, I'm busy and no one's helping me out. And then Jesus says, you are worried about and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her. And is it a rebuke or is it just directional? Like, I think some of us, I'm one of them, I need to be reminded to sit at the feet of Jesus. How do you do that? Prayer and meditation on every morning basis. Sitting at the feet of Jesus, not sitting on your phone for, the first half hour of the day, sitting and having breakfast with Jesus, one-on-one, asking him for inspiration, reflecting on the day. What am I going to do today? How can I be used? What words do you want me to, who do you want me to text message? Who do you want me to call? What do you want me to deal with? Like, that's sitting at the feet of Jesus, going slow. Many of the Christian practices that we have, it slows you down. And when I was studying fasting, because fasting is not eating, or eliminating something out of your life for a specific amount of time, just really studying this. And one of the pastors that I was listening to went to people that went fast. So one of the guys he went to was a race car driver. And he just asked about what's the key to going fast. And the race car driver, the winners are the ones that know how to brake. And it's brilliant because Jesus is showing us a way to be at his feet. Stop being so busy. And is there a nice mix for that? Okay, I'm coming from the bias now. Faith without works is dead. So you got to do something. You got to do stuff. You got to serve your brothers and sisters. You got to look out for them. You got to meet their needs. You got to try to serve in some ways. Be of maximum service to God and to his children. But I got to be with God. I got to be at his feet. I remember the day I found out when I got sober, I was going to the gym and an old high school friend was there, and he had tried to get sober a little bit and his life wasn't going well. We worked out together, and I found out the week later he was coming home from a bar and got stabbed just out of the blue. And this guy was he was a tough guy, and somebody stabbed him in the back and he died. And the next day I found out, and we do a little Bible study at the treatment center, and this is what it was. And God spoke to me, being at the feet of the Jesus, being at his feet and being in his presence and peaceful, and not just being busy and being out there. Like, I'm not going to get stabbed that way. And God just really spoke to me in my own language of the enemy is trying to stab you in the back for no reason except that you're made in the image of God. And that disgusts him. And he is trying to stab you. He's trying to torment you. He's trying to harass you. And he's coming after you. But if I'm at the feet of Jesus, and I understand the mix of all that, yes, you got to have faith with works and all that stuff. When he heard this in verse 4, Jesus said, his sickness is not in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified. Now, Jesus loved, and that word is different from phileo love. It's agape. Loved in a deep way, in a only I believe only God can really love in an agape way. Going to the cross for you is agape. I remember my friend used to sign, you know how you have a cool signature on your email? You have a cool signature. I've never cracked that code, so I just say John, maybe my phone number. And he would say, yeah, agape Glenn. And he started to understand what agape meant. And he's like, yeah, I'm probably not going to the cross for you. But, nah, I'm good. I'm not even going to go to jail I probably won't even go to court for you. I got nothing good to say anyway. And he took that out of his signature because it's such a deep meaning of love. And if you felt God's love, and yes, we love because he loved us first. But how do you love others? Well, I got to have the love of God in me. And I can try to emulate that. I can try to be patient. I can try to be loving and tolerant and just get in people's, just be the cheerleader. But I don't have God's agape love. I have it inside because I felt it, but it's very hard to live out. So that's now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he 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 stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, let's go back to Judea. And that's why I laughed. I'm like, imagine the depth of love, and you get the bat call, you get the whatever, the little guy that was running giving the message, and it's a big concern. Okay, great. I love you so much. I just 2 more days. But we do this in our upper room recovery meeting every Thursday. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love waits 2 more days. And I was like reading that, I was starting to laugh. Like, love could wait 2 more days. We're not on God's time. It's his time. He has perfect love. I don't know his plans. I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but his plan is perfect and he's got it all figured out. He said it will be okay. It won't end in death. I would interpret that agape love would run, like sprint. And you know the lungs on Jesus? He probably never gets tired. He's probably a good track athlete. He would probably get there faster than me. His delay is tied to his love for them. I do believe that. His delay is tied to his love. God's delay isn't a denial. God's never late. It speaks about my timing. Because if you all read that like I did, like I got a question. I'm like, why would he wait 2 days? Like, what's so important? Like, what was going on in those 2 days that he couldn't just, like, these are his best friends. Like, it speaks about my timeline, how I want things to go. He knows the whole picture of your life, and he's never late. He's always on time, and his way is perfect. We tend to judge the love of God through our circumstances. If you're here today and you're like got not good circumstances and you're in it, you're like, it's easy to judge God's love through your own circumstances. Like, why? It's so bad. You don't understand. How about we switch that around and try to lead to judge our circumstances through the love of God? Turn your only ifs into even ifs. Even if I have to go through this, God's got me. Even though I'm going through this right now, God's got a plan, and it's to glorify him. His ways are always perfect. I don't know the whole story. Instead of going, well, if only you come, I'll give my life to you. Oh, if only you come, I'll start tithing to a church. This is my last chance. If only. Switch it around and you're going to see God's love very differently. If you know me at all, you know that I don't like a couple things. Number one is what? Hiking. Like, unless there's a motor involved, I'm down. I don't mind it's not my favorite activity. And puzzling. I can't do puzzles. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. I've literally sat there while my wife, she's a puzzle builder. Like, she goes so fast and so hard to the whole, 2,000 piece puzzles for 8 hours straight. Like, she's got an attention span. My son and I, the whole COVID thing, we're like, we could use mom in a tournament. We could make money off of this. So we look, is there professional circuits of puzzling? There are. You should see it. Put the cat videos and the goat videos on pause and go look at professional puzzle tournaments. They're insane. My wife's nowhere near that. Like, they're picking up puzzles like this. Like, they're not even looking. It's incredible. I can't put pieces in a puzzle. I tried I think I was there for about 2 hours. I get very distracted. I put 3 pieces in. And I think she helped me. I'm not good at it. But imagine me without the box. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. You've made this outline, this frame. I don't even know what the picture is. It flowers? I could take a guess. My wife likes certain things. But I don't even know the picture. Can we be that, children? Can we go, I don't know the picture, but I'm here right now because God has a plan for my life? I don't need to know the whole picture. And the thing, I believe this pause is Jesus he's not necessarily into resuscitation or a renovation. And if you know anything about addiction recovery, it's about a whole new building project. It's not I have to abandon everything for a new thing, for a new life. I can't fit God into, I've heard it so many times, I'm just going to get my life back on track. And I'm like, brother, you don't want that life. Like, that's the life fear built. That's the life addiction built. That's the life of self-centeredness. And you're going to like fit some God into it somehow? No, we have to abandon everything. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is very clear on that. Abandon yourself to God. Abandon it. Leave the old behind. And that's what Jesus is into. He doesn't want recitation or renovation. He wants resurrection. He brings death to life. Romans 8:28, and we know that in all good works, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Verse 8, but Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews tried to stone you there, and yet you're going back. Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daylight will not stumble, for they see by the world's light. And if a person walks at night, that they stumble, they have no light. I believe he's referring to his own ministry. You know, the time is short. You have a day. What is the work that God's called you to do? Our time is set on this earth. There's going to be eternity forever, but our time is set. Your time is set. After he said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. The Greek word there is actually fall asleep, sleep, be asleep. But I am, or it actually says dead. Like there's a little bit of a translation there. So it means sleeping, but it could also mean dead in the Greek. But I am going to wake him up. So his disciples replied, Lord, if he sleeps, he'll get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but the disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So when he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad that I was not there, so you may believe. Let's go to him. It's an interesting concept that I was asked this at a conference last night, and I kind of answered it in a way of like, seek things, but we don't need to know all things. And, there's a part of death of like, do we go and sleep, and do we go up to heaven? What are we actually doing? The Abraham bosom, the promises of, the front side of the cross, the back side of the cross. Where are we? He told the thief on the cross, today you'll be with me in paradise. That's referring to the backside of the cross. Like when Jesus died, we get to go right away. In 2 Corinthians 5:4, we read, for we live by faith, not by sight, we are confident, I say, and I would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. I'm glad I was not there, so you may believe. That was really cool. Like, is he rebuking? He knows the plan. Like, he already knows. He's like, I'm horrible with secrets. There's some of us that are horrible with secrets. There's some of you who are really good. My wife's one of them. It bothers me. I try my best. And I very, very few times I can crack the code. And then Thomas says, also known as Didymus, means twin. I think that's really interesting that that's put there. Why? We've heard of Thomas before, and all of a sudden this is in there. What was Thomas kind of famous for? The doubting. Can we be like twins? Are we his twin? Can we doubt? There's a lot of doubt here. Here's what he says. Said to the rest of the disciples, let us go, that we may die with him. They want to kill us. Lazarus is always dead. We're in trouble. Death, death, death. Lazarus is already dead. Oh my goodness, why would we go there? Let's just go to die anyway. Remember, he had to touch the nails in his hands and feet of Jesus. But the one thing I commend him on is he is loyal. Death is around the corner. Death is already have happened. It's going to be a mess when they get there. Their lives are at risk, but he's loyal. He's got courage and honesty. I like the honest guy. You know, the guy that doesn't know the answer, and the teachers talking about the questions. And that's what Jesus says. Like Jesus in John 14, I'm going away. There's going to be a home. I'm going to build. And then Thomas is like, okay, Lord, I don't know where you're going. All the other disciples were like, yeah, he's going away. There's a house being built. Like, that's me in school. The teacher's explaining something. And I'm like, I have no clue. Like, is this Japanese? I don't know what language we're in. And I'm just like, and you always get that one kid's like, I got a question. I don't really understand what you're saying. And then you're like, oh, and they explain it differently. That's like Thomas. He's so honest. And that's what he says about this rooms of many mansions. He says, Lord, I don't know where we're going, so how can we know the way? It's good to ask questions when you don't know the answers. I wasn't very good at that. The questions are good. He's honest. He's courageous. Thank goodness for the Thomases. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in their loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Martha stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. You could say that a couple ways. Hey, Lord, nice to see you. If you'd been here, probably Lazzy wouldn't have been dead right now. I think she had some energy. I could see Martha with a little energy, exuberance, probably like threw people for like, whoa, Martha just yelled at Jesus. Probably hands going, Lord. But I know, and here's Sunday school, Martha, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Yeah. Like, leave that little bit there. It's an interesting statement of faith that Martha had. It is a statement of faith. It's limiting, and she's probably in what? Grief. The anger part, maybe, day 4, probably a little bit angry. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Doesn't rebuke her. It's a beautiful answer. Martha answered, I know. He'll raise again in the resurrection in the last day. She was a believer in the resurrection, and Daniel 7 and the prophecies that she was a firm believer in the resurrection. So she knew that. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? And Jesus right here claims authority. Claims authority over no problem none of us have or ever will figure out. Like, we can't even figure out homelessness or the cure for addiction. Here, take this. It'll cure you of addiction. Here, end abuse. You'll never drink again. Here, do this. Like, oh my goodness. Like, you don't even know the problem of addiction. You think substances are the problem. It's not even near it. You have a spiritual problem manifest in the symptoms of snorting, sticking, smoking, whatever it is. You're apart from God, driven by fear. Oh, we'll give you a pill. Got the antidote. We can't even figure out this. We can't figure out death. People have been trying. Frozen people. What are they doing? They're doing some crazy stuff, by the way. Jesus isn't saying that death is an event or resurrection. It's not an event. He's not claiming it's an event. He's claiming it's a person. He's claiming that the biggest problem that we'll never solve isn't an event that you go to or mourn for. It's actually a person. Where there's Jesus, there's life. And I talked about crowns yesterday. You know the will of God when you start to understand the rewards that you get. When you die as a believer, we go to the bema seat of Jesus. He gives you crowns. Good job, Hannah. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job, Ashley. There's 5 crowns. You did well. And one of them is telling people about your story and leading people into the truth and life and resurrection of Jesus. So that death isn't an event, it's a person. We should be very concerned about that with everybody around us. Is this person, is this friend of mine, is this beloved one of mine going to have an event or have a relationship with a person? You just start thinking like that. Do you believe? Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into the world. After she said this, she went back and called her sister Mary. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met. When the Jews had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to go to the tomb and mourn there. He was already in the tomb. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. She fell at his feet and said the same thing Martha did. I think it was a different posture, though. What Martha and Mary said sounded the same. Martha ran out and stood there. I could see Martha because she's like me. She was like this. And then Martha was just like at the feet, looking up. Pitiful tears, heartbroken, probably upset and turmoil. Same words, but very different attitude. She fell at his feet again. Practice falling at the feet of Jesus on a daily basis, and when the chicken hits the fan, you're going to want to fall at the feet of Jesus as a natural response. You're going to be trained to do that. You're going to be trained to have a different attitude because you've been practicing it every day. How you face death will be determined by the posture and position you take before Jesus. Will you worship and praise at his feet, not understanding all the ins and outs of it, but at his feet? Or will you stand and accuse him? Come on, you can do better. Have anybody said that recently? Because of your circumstances, your trials, your diagnosis? Come on, do better. We can all change our attitudes. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come alongside of her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Troubled, this word troubled, up in the upper room, he was troubled, and he said, one of you are going to betray me. That kind of troubled. That kind of troubled where you're like, like imagine one of you here is trying to kill me, and I say that, like that's troubling. Like my own people, one of you in this room is going to betray me. And then you all do the same thing. Who is it? Must be Evan. Probably. He was troubled in his spirit. Jesus was groaning. And I think he was hurt because this isn't his design. Death wasn't his design. Life is. He was a troubled man in that instance. He was troubled. Come and see, Lord, they replied. And then the shortest verse in the Bible, what is it? There's two of them. Jesus wept. I want to link these. I'm taking poetic license right now. I want to link these two. Jesus wept and, okay, well, we'll get to it next week. Jesus wept. I believe it's the shortest, most powerful verse in the Bible. He feels. The word dakruo. It's the only word in the Bible that it only shows up once. It's very unique. It's not wept and cried. Like it's not like how we would weep and cry maybe. It's very interesting. I had to look this up. I did the rabbit trail. And have you ever, one of my favorite shows back in the day was, do you remember this show? Bus driver, move that bus. And what happens? Like we saw the renovate, we saw the fix, we saw the decrepitness of the living situations. They were doing their best. They had a paralyzed child. They had it was a horrible situation. Goats eating the furniture, and it was a mess. What happens though when that bus driver moves the bus? What do they all do? Yeah, they're weeping, but it's different. They're weeping of this overjoyed. What's the second, the tied for the second shortest verse? 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Rejoice always. Put those two together. Jesus wept, but he has a plan. He has a future for your life. He already knows the outcome. You're going through horrible stuff, trials, temptations. You keep making the same mistake. And he's weeping in joy because he already knows the outcome. He's like, oh, this is cool. I think he knew he was weeping, but he was like, I can't wait till the bus driver move the stone. He's like, I already know what's going to happen. This is so good. He's dead. Yeah, he's dead. He used the word dead. He was asleep. No, he's dead. 4 days. That's a big deal. Rejoice always. Jesus wept. Jesus is always rejoicing because he knows the plan. He knows the good that he has for you. And death isn't the final answer. Death and resurrection is a person. I thought that was exciting. You could look up that yourself. Bus driver, move that bus. And it's like this joy of tears. He's with you crying, but he already knows the outcome. So he's not like, this is hopeless. I have hope for you. I have come so that you will have life. It might not be the life you think you'll have. This is not the life that I had planned at all. I literally got stuck in a rehab for 10 years, right? I was there 10 years. When do I get to graduate? Everybody complains. Oh, the walk. Oh, the food. There's no milk. Oh, this guy eats all the food. And his tighty whities. That's happened. You got to put locks on the fridge. It's not the life I had planned. I just wanted to get my life back on track. And for me to stay sober, I had to, in 2006, had to throw out my resume. And every day I pass my union shop. Every day I get to see it. I'm like, oh, remember that life? Oh, with a paycheck and everything. A plan for when you retire. And it's like God had a plan for my life, and he was weeping in joy. It's going to be so exciting. You don't need that resume. I still have an AZ license. I still drive heavy equipment. I love motors so much that I don't like hiking. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him? But some of them said, could not the one who opened eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? He agape loves you in a way that probably most of us can't understand or fathom. He has deep love for you. I was just reminded of that Good Will Hunting movie when he's, meeting with the psychologist. He's gotten in a little trouble. He has to meet with a shrink, and it's Robin Williams. And it's just an angry kid. The weight of the world. The abuse that he suffered. The bruises, when you see the picture, you're like, oh man, imagine another parent doing that to their kid. And then what does Robin Williams do? It's not your fault. And you're like, yeah, I know. I'm an adult. I know it's not my fault. That's bad parenting. It's not your fault. And he keeps doing it, and he just breaks his heart because the things that have happened to you aren't your fault. And Jesus has been there the whole time, and he's going to turn your darkest hours for his glory. And it's not about forgive and forget. It's about he's going to heal your heart so that your darkest moments can be a line of transmission for somebody that needs light in their life. So take all of this hurt and tears and heartache. It's not your fault, but God's going to turn it into his glory because he has a plan and a future for your life. But imagine being 4 days in paradise. Okay, transition a little bit. Because this is just how my mind wanders. 4 days in paradise. John Ruby's in paradise. I don't know what my name will be there. It'd be cool. I'll probably have like a couple crowns. I don't know. It's going to be cool. I know that. My mind will be blowing. Things, I'll be like, oh my goodness. I couldn't even understand that. I'm asking questions. I'm asking like, okay, so what really happened? And I'm trying to figure, I'm just like, 4 days. Like it just goes, it's a second up there. My mind's blowing. And then it's like, I get interrupted. Mr. Ruby, we have a situation. A little situation, not a big deal, but you know your mom? And I'm like, oh no, I know what that means. My mom does not stop praying for all of us. My mom does not stop praying for all of us. And I right then I'm like, oh no, what? They're praying hard. They have faith. And yeah, we got to go. We're going back. I'll be like, no. So if I'm on life support, just come and like say cool stuff to me. Like just come and be like, tickle fight your dad, like you know, whatever. Like just let me be. Put cake in my mouth. I don't know, like ice cream, whatever. You have permission. Unplug me, yeah, just for fun. Like see what happens. I give you all permission. It's on tape. My wife. Anyway. I'll be fine. Don't bring me back. But if God wants to bring me back, I'll come back. But I could see myself in that situation. Like, no, not back there. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? Are you in doubt? Are you in unbelief? Or are you in believer? With some unbelief, some doubts. Invite God to smash all that stuff.